Wow. Half-Life 3 sure looks different. Yeah, so while all the rumours about Half-Life 3 showing up as a surprise one last thing at the Game Awards turned out to be wildly incorrect, we still got a one last thing, and yeah, it was definitely a surprise. Oh, it's a free-to-play hero shooter set in a fantastical magical setting with guns and a main hook of choosing a character out of a League of Legends to take turns planting bombs at Site A or Site B while mining for resources to buy guns to counter-strike and eventually lead a valiant effort to attack the enemy team's base in a Rainbow Six Siege by destroying walls to sabotage the enemy base. Are you kidding me? This was what was hyped up? Really? The games industry really said another one and was surprised when everyone said, ugh, another one. It's baffling they haven't learned this lesson yet, like with Concord and most other live service attempts over the years. Alright, I'll admit, I was morbidly curious to try Highguard, but I can't say it was something that I was interested in going by the trailer alone. It didn't help that the devs were silent right up until release. It doesn't really scream confidence, does it? Like, if Christopher Nolan released a trailer for his next movie and then said, alright, but I don't want to tell you any more than that, the excitement will build because Nolan generally makes very, very different films to most filmmakers, movie by movie. But if the director of Fast and Furious did the exact same thing, that excitement wouldn't go anywhere because there's a million of them, and if you get a chubby from another Fast and Furious film, you might be a bit of a smooth brain. Anyway, here we go. So here's the deal with Highguard. Two teams have a base at either end of a pretty thick map, and at the start of each game, both teams will reinforce walls, floors, and ceilings for a minute before being allowed outside like kids who have just finished their homework. And much like kids in Victorian times, we're told to go outside and mine as much blue meth as possible to give to the merchant who's from north of England.
Thanks for stopping by.
In exchange for armour, weapons, or rope to hang myself. Anyway, eventually a sword will appear on the map called the Shield Breaker, which is great for spreading butter on toast, but apparently is also pretty good for breaking through the enemy base's shield. Who'da thunk? What a great name for a fucking sword. Okay, so whoever picks up the butter spreader appears on the map for all to see, and it's a mad rush to ride your vaporware steed to the enemy base to shove the butter knife into the toaster that's plugged into the enemy shield. Then, the attacking teams have limited lives to search and destroy Site A and or B and or the main generator for extra spicy damage, but if the attacking team fails, their base takes damage for not managing to even tickle the enemy base's pickle. I think that's everything. Honestly, I don't mind a little MOBA sprinkled into a shooter, and psst, come here. I did catch myself having a little bit of fun, not gonna lie. How would you like this ASMR, you little slut? So yeah, the maps can be pretty large, and some people have said they didn't like having such a large area because of the amount of downtime. I get where they're coming from, but it also gave me a chance to get to grips with the map, loot some shit, and mine some of that blue crystal meth that New Mexico is famous for. My main complaints are, yeah, well, everything else basically. You know what, me and Highguard actually have something in common. We both don't run very well. With little to no action, Highguard runs fine, but as soon as bullets start flying, the frame rate drops like that scene from Fellowship of the Ring where Pippin knocks a bucket and a Jack Skellington down a well in the mines of Moria and Gandalf is like, fool of a Highguard. And the game turns into a Wallace and Gromit episode. I have an RTX 3060 card, which is decent, and I can get some good performance out of it, surprisingly. But not here. I tried medium settings, low global illumination, no lens flare or fancy bullshit, but as soon as the action hit, it felt like I was trying to hit a fly with a chopstick. And yeah, I know, there's the whole skill issue argument, which I'll hold my hands up and say I'm pretty bad until I pull a lucky shot out of thin air, but the poor performance is really easily noticeable. And the queue times are... okay, well they're actually quick. Managing to finish that queue process to completion though? Not so much. 9 times out of 10, a match will be found, 5 out of 6 people in the lobby, 5 seconds later, the match will be cancelled. I only played roughly 3-4 matches of 3v3. The rest of the games I captured were from a trial 5v5 game mode that the devs ended up adding permanently because everyone loved it. Firing the magical guns is pretty decent. There's not much recoil on any of them, so they're easy to land shots, if you're not me. But outside of the AK-47, aka the Alakazam 47, and the big boy LMG that you can pick up from an airdrop, none of the weapons really feel consistent in their damage output. Genuinely, I don't think there's any damage fall off for any of the guns, including the SMG, which I'm pretty sure managed to snipe me from halfway across the map. This is the Paladin. This is also the worst shotgun I have ever used in a video game. Calling it a confetti cannon would be an insult to confetti. Confetti signals when something joyous has happened, like a marriage or turning 5 years old. You can empty an entire magazine into somebody and they can just stand there and take it like a good little bit. So yeah, the time to kill is painfully slow. Slower even than the finals, and I like the finals. But here it's inconsistent and frustrating. So frustrating. I've lost so many gunfights and come away very confused at how I got killed by somebody with an SMG from across a ravine the same size as Blood Gulch from Halo. Alright, more good points. More good points. No. Actually, wait, you know what? No. The mounts are kind of fun. You know what, I'm just going to rattle off the rest of the negatives because there's a lot and I don't want to jump on the bandwagon too much, so here's what annoyed me. Alright, here we go. It's generic. Highguard looks like a mobile game. It's generic. The merchant looks and sounds exactly how you imagine. You have characters in a fantasy ye-old world setting with modern haircuts, Marvel smirks, and big bundas in latex with AK-47s. Some of the ultimates and abilities are straight up out of Destiny and Valorant. In Valorant, Jet's ultimate ability turns her into a proper Landana and gives her several floating knives she can shoot at people. If you get a kill while firing one at a time, you get a knife back. But if you fire all of them at once and get a kill, you get no knife back. This can lead to wiping an entire team with one ult, or at least filling their numbers. In Highguard, you know what? I actually can't remember what the character's name is, but she basically has the same ult as Jet, but when she gets a kill with a knife, it resets her cooldown. Although good luck getting a fucking kill because her knives are weaker than a slingshot filled with marshmallows. I'll admit the abilities aren't all bad, like Condor appropriately has a bird she can send out to scan for enemies if they're moving, and she can rescan after a short amount of time. We also have Timu Sage who can create ice walls, and Shine Reyna who can sacrifice enemy souls for shields. It's ironic how uninspired the game is by being inspired by so many other games that have more of an identity. Also Highguard, more like High Fade. Heyo! I think it's hilarious that Reddit has dubbed him John Highguard. Anyway. In a vacuum it's fine. Like, if I had nothing else to play I wouldn't be mad. I had a little fun. Like a, smidgen of fun. But when I look back at the games that influenced Highguard, such as Siege, Overwatch or Valorant, I clicked with them a lot more in a shorter space of time. With those games I had that initial hit of, what's this? Oh, that's what this is. Oh, okay, I get it. Well, get it in my veins then. The sad thing is, if Highguard was shadow dropped, like completely out of the blue, and the trailer showed off more of what you actually do in the game, and the poster star wasn't John Highfade, and it wasn't revealed at the Game Awards at the end of the bloody night as the one last thing when everyone wanted Half-Life 3 or Bloodborne 2, Yarnum Boogaloo, then maybe the hatred towards it wouldn't have been so strong. But look, if ifs and buts were sugar and nuts, I'd be a fucking Snickers bar. And maybe Highguard would have been a bit of a fun time killer for a few hours. My only hope is that it will improve and grow over the next sort of few months and hopefully it doesn't get shit-canned like Concord did. And that does seem to be the case. It does seem to be like the devs are really putting out a lot of updates and they're really communicating a bit more now. I just think it's a little bit too generic still. And, this whole thing with the devs saying that the player counts aren't the measure of a successful game and they don't need hundreds of thousands of players to continue, just a small group of passionate fans, it smells a bit like bullshit. If it lasts a year, I'll be really surprised and, I'll be happy for them. But if the player numbers continue to drop below, like, 1,000 and keep falling, it might be time to pull the plug. It is a solid game. It can always be improved. I just wish it was announced a bit differently and... I just fucking wish everything about it was different, but oh well. It's still fun. For a bit. If you've got nothing else to do. It wasn't fun enough to pull me away from Hades 2 though, so... whatever. My new obsession. I recently rewatched Jurassic Park around the time Wildlight announced most of their team had been laid off, and something struck me. Even those with the best intentions will always make foolish mistakes. Hear me out and let me know if this sounds familiar to you. John Hammond wanted to build something to amaze and entertain people all over the world, something no one had ever seen before, a new breed of theme park. There is constant talk about keeping investors happy, making a fortune, and creating merchandise or microtransactions for this new franchise. The greediest character, the corporate lawyer, meets a grisly fate, while Hammond survives the ordeal but bruised and sad that his dream had died. None of the higher-ups listen to the experts and test audience that are brought in to critique the park, and are surprised when things go horribly wrong. Any of this ring any bells? There's a scene in particular where the main characters are discussing the ethics of John Hammond cloning dinosaurs and bringing them kicking and screaming into the modern world, when Dr. Malcolm says this.
Dinosaurs had their shot and nature selected them for extinction.
I simply don't understand this.
Okay, replace the word dinosaurs with live service. Doesn't that make a good amount of sense? I was wondering how to explain why people don't want live service hero shooters anymore, and this makes perfect sense to me. There was a time when live services were popular and immensely profitable. However, people have their favourite live service, if they have one, and they're not going to give that up for something that's unproven or unimaginative. Overwatch got the hero shooter formula right. PUBG and Fortnite cornered battle royales until Warzone got a slice of the pie, and now Ark Raiders has ambushed Escape from Tarkov and stolen their extraction shooter crown. Players are embedded into these games because they're like comfort food. They know what to expect, and they won't feel betrayed by taking another bite out of it. But why would you give up ramen for a dish someone has claimed is more comforting and more warming? You're not gonna. Ark Raiders has showed that a paid live service can work and it can be successful with the right amount of runway and support. So what happened with Highguard? Familiar gameplay and a familiar story about live service failings. In the lead up to Highguard's release, Jeff Keighley was posting a lot on Twitter about it. Like 5, 6, 7 posts, all on the same day leading up to Highguard's release. Like he was almost acting like a clingy ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or something. Like he just wouldn't leave it alone and he wouldn't let up, like constantly asking people, oh, so what do you think? Have you seen this trailer? Have you seen these images? Like, it looks great, doesn't it? Like, why was he so invested? I get people are going to be, they're going to be interested in certain things and they're going to like what they like, but I don't know. It's a bit weird. Like, he was heavily invested in it and it doesn't make much sense to me. They threw shit against the wall to see what sticks, but instead, the shit just hit the fan.